Welcome to State of Mind.
A state is ephemeral. It's where you are right now, not where you'll always be.
This podcast is for the people who followed the rules of the game and found themselves asking, now what? Here we talk about recalibration, alignment, and what it means to write your own rules. We're your co-hosts, Kanwulia and Lia.
And I'm Lia Neal.
And this is State of Mind. Sorry, it's Girl Scout cookie season.
Oh, yes. I would like to share my hot take.
Okay, what's your hot take?
That I think Girl Scout cookies are overrated.
Disagree. Have you had Thin Mints?
Yeah, I've had it. There's like nothing. It's giving nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I also don't like chocolate
okay.
mint combo.
Okay, so
but
Thin Mints.
It's also like very mild. Thin Mints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you wouldn't like them anyway.
Sorry to those girls. It's not your fault. You're not making the cookies.
I love Girl Scout cookies. I think that if Girl Scout cookies were available year round, I wouldn't like them as much as I do.
Yeah.
But there's something about it coming around late winter at the beginning of spring that makes it just exciting. You know?
It is a marketing ploy. It's
for
the
sure.
marketing machine behind it.
For sure.
This is where the marketing outweighs the product itself.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I'll take a chocolate chip cookie, like, fresh baked at a bakery, like, over Girl Scouts, like, any day.
Oh,
yeah.
If I had to choose one or the other, yes, I'll choose a fresh baked cookie. But I don't have to choose, so I get both.
Right.
Every year I get a box of Samoas, a box of Thin Mints, and then a box of something else. So I got my stock yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard about the OpenAI Anthropic?
Yeah. Like robbery. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my POV on it.
Okay.
So we have ChatGPT, who's been around for actually I think like a decade or something. So they of course have the first mover advantage, and they were the first to be the LLM, like chat, like interaction with AI. So that's why they gained notoriety there. But sometimes it's not about being the fastest, it's about being the highest quality and like taking your time and being intentional about it.
That is something that's a benefit of moving a bit slower.
Yeah, moving slower, and you get to benefit from learning from the first movers' mistakes. So I think that's where Claude is coming in and like doing really well. They're like hiring, I don't know, I've just seen like the headlines, but they're like being intentional about hiring like humanities, people who study the humanities or like people experts in humanities, because now there's such a human element to AI. And then I also recently just like moved my stuff over from GPT to Claude.
Yeah, I mean, even the features that they're developing, super timely, like with their import memory feature. It's like if you want to move your information from one LLM to another, just input this code. They're being very strategic about their partnerships, or rather like benefiting from OpenAI's like lack of the strategy around partnerships.
Very strategic with the timing.
Yeah. OpenAI, Anthropic, generative AI is definitely shaping the way we engage with each other, the world, etc. It's happening very quickly. I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Okay, what have you been up to?
So I did my own braids, which
they look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
they look professional. How are your shoulders doing?
My shoulders are all right, actually.
Right? Because you have to like lift your arms.
Yeah, well, it was more like I was like tilting my head to the side. So I wasn't like doing too much arm lifting. But I knew that this year I wanted to try it at least once. I'd watched so many YouTube videos and TikTok reels about it. I've seen all these women doing their like DIY beauty trends. I wanted to give it a try. And I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. I can't lie.
Yeah.
So
it
that was
great.
Thank you.
Perfect timing for the spring.
Yes, and I got my nails done. Yeah. I'm a big fan. What about you? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Nothing currently, but I am looking for...
What are you looking for?
I'm looking forward to... I have a bunch of concerts coming up.
Oh!
I'm so excited. I'm Zara Larson. You know what's crazy?
What?
I have some friends who don't know Zara Larson.
Okay, I don't know her like that. I can't lie. I'm sorry.
But you know her songs, right? Oh.
I just
Okay,
filled
I
in excitement for
appreciate
you.
that. Yeah,
I'm
the
excited that you're
excitement,
excited. I'm sure that I know her. Like I've heard some of
Midnight
them.
Sun.
You'd have to like sing.
Oh
part
my
of it.
gosh. Midnight Sun has been like on repeat for me. And it's also maybe in my very vacuum echo chamber of an algorithm. Because I thought that everyone knew Zara Larson and I thought she was having a resurgence, which she is, but I guess it's like hasn't reached everyone yet.
Yeah. She's having the resurgence for you.
Yeah. Me and my very select, not even all my friends. No, but she's very underrated. We're also talking about how
that.
underrated Bruno Mars is.
Yeah, and Amber Mark.
And Amber Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, please do your research. Yeah, you will not be. I mean, people know who Bruno Mars is, but you will not be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. I'll listen.
Yeah, I have Zara Larson coming up. I'm excited for that.
And you just saw Amber Mark.
That's in like a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's exciting. I need to add to my show roster. I'm planning on seeing Olivia Dean. I haven't purchased her tickets yet. Oh, I've been an Olivia Dean fan for years.
I'm so glad that because the last time she came to perform at Brooklyn Paramount was before she really blew up.
Right before she really blew up.
She released this recent album.
Yeah.
And like
and she teased a couple of songs from this album.
It was kind of it was like a little more expensive. I mean, the resale price was like, I don't know, 3 times as much as like the
initial price. Yeah.
And it had sold out like so quickly. But you were like, I'm going to go like regardless.
Yeah.
if anyone else joins me.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it would be fun because like I do know like all of her songs. That's like the most enjoyable part of concerts.
Yes.
Like actually being able to sing along to everything. And it's so rare for me to find concerts where I know all of the songs. So yeah, I'm so glad. Glad I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw her at Coachella 2024. Knew all her songs then. The crowd was so much smaller. She was on a very small stage. I was like,
I've watched that on YouTube.
It's such a good performance. I was like second from the front. Knew every word to every song. I was so happy I saw her then. And then we saw her at Brooklyn Paramount. She did an incredible job. And I'm glad I saw her those times because she's almost out of my price range at this point. Like,
well, how much are tickets selling for right now?
I've seen them all over the map, but somewhere between like $350 and $1,000. Like the $350
is like in the nosebleeds,
right? Exactly, and there are very few of those tickets.
Yeah.
So I feel like most of the tickets are around like the 500s or 600s. I'm hoping that those prices go down. It's kind of crazy, but even after like she called out Ticketmaster for their price gouging tactics, I'm like, how are they getting away with these prices?
I don't know, a monopoly.
Yeah. Anyway.
I would love to see her again.
Yeah, same. I love summer concerts, so I'm hoping to add a couple to my list as well. We've talked about our mothers and how much we love them, but figured that we spend an episode talking about the lessons they've given us, those that we're taking, and those that we're leaving behind. So how about we get started there?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get into it.
Well, a great place to start would be with a little bit of background context on your mom. Who is she?
My mom.
Shout out to your mom, by the way.
Shout
we
out
know she
to,
listens.
Yes.
Hi.
Leaving comments in the YouTube.
Lia, you play piano.
Yeah. Were you like, who is this? Your mom? Did you know?
No, I knew it was your mom. Yeah. I was like, Lia, I didn't know you played piano. You have more hobbies than you let on.
She was born in China, in a village in China, Guangzhou, and then moved to Hong Kong when she was 2. So city girl.
City girl.
And then moved to New York when she was 18. She moved to New York with her father. I think met up with the uncle when she and her father finally moved over here. Oh, and also with her grandmother. And then the rest of her family, like her mom, her brother and sister, joined a few years later to come over to New York.
Oh, super cool. Okay. So it sounds like she made 2 relatively big moves throughout her life. The first was to Hong Kong, when she was really young, and then to the U.S. I can share a bit about my mom. She grew up in Nigeria, and she was a kid during the Nigerian Civil War, also more commonly known as the Biafran War. The Biafran War was in the late 1960s through 1970, like 1967 through like 1970. And this was before she was a teenager. So I know it impacted her in a way that anybody who's like lived through a war would be impacted, but even more so a child who is like very neuroplastic. And then in her 30s, she moved to Switzerland, where she had me live there for nearly a decade, I believe. And then she moved to the States, which is where I grew up.
So. Wow. So those are big moves and huge cultural shifts. Have you ever spoken about that, like with your mom? Like, did she say what it was like and needing to translate Nigerian culture, living in Switzerland, and then combining Nigerian and Switzerland culture, moving to the U.S.?
We haven't talked about it in too much depth, but there are some things that I can infer. One is that she developed like adaptability. When she moved to Switzerland, she learned to speak French. She's since lost French because she hasn't like practiced it very much, but she learned to speak French. She had a lot of friends in Switzerland. She was like very open to the culture. She wasn't just a person that stayed amongst expats. She also found community amongst like locals as well. And yeah, when she went from Switzerland to the States, there was also an adaptability that happened there. I mean, she found a lot of refuge in like the Nigerian community, but I don't feel like she necessarily excluded herself to the Nigerian community.
That part about you talking about your mom finding her community and like really embedding herself reminded me of you.
Really?
And your story about Indiana, finding her community there.
Yeah. Yeah. What about your mom? I imagine that's also true of her story.
Yeah, adaptability. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think a lot of the immigrant story is like you do so many things that take a lot of effort and energy and going beyond your comfort zone, but you just do it all in stride. You're just like, what else would I do? Of course,
like I guess it's just life.
Right. Like, but now we can name it. Adaptability is such a strength, right? Being able to adapt to changing circumstances, changing environments,
and not being too fazed by it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think adaptability is a huge piece to it. My mom, when she was living in Hong Kong, was actually when it was still a British territory. So she had a British accent moving to the US. I don't know. It's kind of hard to have these conversations and really understand like what is the core, like what are all the challenges? Because again, they take everything as normal.
Right, exactly. Like that is one of the like other sides to adaptability. It's like they're not really thinking about how
impressive.
Okay, yeah, impressive. Or I mean,
how much of a feat it was to actually live life that way.
They're just going through it. Yeah, it's like a segment of their lives. But like when I'm hearing my mom's story, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So that's why it's hard to get the full story. I think just generally with immigrant families trying to pass down their story to their posterity because they don't think to make a big deal out of anything. Because if they were to make a big deal out of it, they wouldn't have been able to do it, or they wouldn't have been able to keep their sanity and do it. So you have to just mentally
disengage.
Yeah. Just not make a big deal about it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's hard for me to like have these very packaged like because I don't know, because my mom doesn't even like hasn't really done the reflection like that.
Yeah. But I think one thing we can both agree on is that our mothers' experiences growing up has led to some lessons that they've passed on to us, knowingly or unknowingly. A couple come to mind for me, and I love to hear what they are for you. One that comes to mind for me is resourcefulness. My mom is hands down the most resourceful person I've ever met. Like, you don't have clothes? Give her a piece of fabric, she'll build you a wardrobe. Oh, you need jewelry too? Give her some beads. You have earrings and a necklace. We don't have a meal, give her flour, and somehow a 5-course meal appears. And growing up, I was like, man, she's just great with her hands. That's her talent. But I've realized that there's something beyond that, and there is that resourcefulness. And I think part of it comes from the fact that she was a child during the Biafran War. And for context, millions of people died primarily by famine. And so that gives you a sense of like the scarcity that was there. And so you made do with what you had. And she's really good at making a lot out of a little. I've always been really impressed by that. And that's a lesson that she's passed on to us as well. I'm good at cooking, but cooking is a means to an end for me. I'm great at eating. So it's like, okay, I got to cook. I can like mend a top or something, but I'm not nearly as good at sewing. I can't like sew an outfit or anything, but I've seen resourcefulness in other ways. My mom embedded a figure it out mentality, and figuring it out is like using the tools that you have at your disposal to get to where you need to go. I've seen that come alive through like my college application process, or making home in Indiana, or finding my community, just how I go about learning in general when I'm in these spaces. So yeah, the lesson on resourcefulness is something that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, that resonates. I'm always so impressed when my mom can just like make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I think, there's describing it as being resourceful. I see it like as my mom is like being an engineer too, like women in STEM.
Yes.
Like she could just, I don't know, she just figures things out. Like she has like such a creative way to come up with solutions, like tactical solutions, or I don't know. So I'm always very impressed with like how maybe it does come back to resourcefulness, and also just the reps over like many years. Like you're like, I've seen this before. Whenever I have a problem, like she always has an answer, or like always knows how to like fix something. I don't even have to question like if she'll have an answer. Like she always will. Yeah. Or a solution. Yeah.
Are there any other lessons that come to mind for you that...
I think I'm just gonna work off of the lessons that you bring up, and then see what it sparks for me.
Okay. Yeah. Something else that comes to mind for me is work ethic. In line with the resourcefulness theme, my mom's mentality was sort of like, put your heads down and get it done. She's always been an incredibly hard worker. And it's impacted the way I approach work. And it's not from like a get through it perspective, but it's like, yes, I get it done, but get it done from a place of excellence. Nothing is half-hearted. Like, if you're putting your name on something, make sure it's something that you're proud of. And what that often looked like was late nights. I think the bad side of that was that it might have led to some perfectionistic tendencies, or just not being super satisfied with output, or maybe even like incessant revisions on something that might have been good enough to go with 2 or 3 revisions. But the nice side of that is that it's led me to have very high standards for output. And I really appreciate that from her.
Yeah, the hardworking piece. Yeah, I feel like it goes without saying. Oh my gosh, like being immigrant, you can only get to where you are and get your feet under you by doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely resonates with me and how I see like how my mom operates. Oh my gosh, she's like a one-woman show. Like does everything. She has a hard time asking for help. I've seen that in myself.
True. Resonates.
Yeah. The good is that you're so reliable and you can do things for yourself. Like you don't need to rely on anyone else. But the bad is that like we only have so much energy and time. So it just comes at a cost of like ourselves at the end of the day. Yeah. It is interesting to label these things and these learnings because it is so innate. Like seeing the living example and then seeing how that has influenced like our mothers and bringing us up, and also just setting their standards for us, and and thus our own standards for ourselves.
I agree. It's like I didn't realize that these were lessons until I reflected on them, because they've become so habitual. I don't know if my work ethic would be what it is today had I not had the example of my mom. I assume it wouldn't have been, though. It's kind of funny too, because as I've gotten older, I've seen my mom try to like walk back some lessons. Like I remember when I was applying to business school, I wasn't getting the GRE score that I knew I could get. And I was so frustrated with myself. My mom was like, wait, it's okay. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And I just thought that was funny, because I remember when I was younger, there was like this like push to strive for excellence, you know, like strive for the A's. And then as I got a bit older, she was like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's fine. Like, if you don't get the score, like, it's fine. So, yeah, it's been funny to see, like, my mom walk back some of the lessons that I feel like she instilled in me growing up. And I don't think she was, like, super hard on me, like, when it comes to grades, by the way, partially because maybe she did realize that there was this, like, perhaps natural, like, pursuit of excellence as well. But at the same time, I think that some of it came from her, right? Like, and seeing the way she worked. And it wasn't even necessarily like what she said, but it was just like observations of how she lived her life.
Yeah, I think that change in approach, like our mom's change in approach, is a combination of them getting older and like being more relaxed, right? And then also when we were younger, they were still shaping and molding us, and then they finally got us to a place like we're adults now, where now we don't need an outside external voice putting the pressure on ourselves. We are now like our own source of pressure, like putting the pressure on our own. That's true. On our own selves. So it's an evolution, or maybe a change in working style too. It is interesting that you don't have these check-ins with like loved ones, people really close to you. It's just like not normal or standard to be like, okay, so how are we working these days? like what's your approach? It just kind of like evolves over time. And like you said, you're like, whoa, I'm sure you're a little bit taken aback of like, what, you don't think I should care? But what about like just like 10 years ago? Like this would have been a whole different conversation. It is interesting how things evolve and change, and how people change, and needing to like adapt to that, or adjust your expectations.
It's kind of funny because as children of like our parents, we kind of expect them to show up in the world a certain way. We kind of forget that they are humans too. They grow, they change. I think one example that of how I saw that growing up is I grew up so I'm the youngest of four, and
I'm also the youngest of four.
Well, and the way my mom raised my brother, who's the oldest, is very different than the way she raised me. And even like my oldest sister, she was just stricter with them, and I definitely had it easier. I can speak for a lot of, well, I don't know, you let me know if you agree with this, but yeah, I feel like my mom was more relaxed with me. And that was also a manifestation of her change. I'm sure that when she, as a mother of one, she's a bit more nervous about, you know, like the world and her young boy in it. But then by the fourth, she's like, all right, like, just don't die. She very much cared about me, of course, but she was less nervous about the world and just gave me a bit more freedom.
And I brought this up in like our intro,
I remember
many recordings ago. How I feel like the youngest, but I also feel like the only child. I feel like eldest daughter. I think that's just like a combination of like there being a huge age gap between me and my brothers, and also like my mom's circumstances. Like she was working while raising 3 kids, all like within like 5 years of age difference of each other, my brothers. And so she didn't have time to be like as involved. She also like with my first brother was a first time mom. Oh, it's also crazy. Like at my age now, like I would have a 10-year-old or so, yeah, a 10-year-old.
A 10-year-old.
Yeah, if I were her.
I can't imagine that. Wow.
Yeah, like you said, like they're learning a lot as they go too. She's like figured out more by the time she had me. We're all athletic. If like my parents had the time, energy, attention, knowledge of like recruiting and college sports, maybe they could have pushed that more. But by the time I came around, I think all of these circumstances just lined up that like really went into helping me foster like my talent in my swimming, and my mom had the time to like take me to everything. So it is interesting to see how all the chips kind of fell, you know, in order to get each child to where they are today.
Yeah, that is very interesting. We've talked about this adaptability, resourcefulness, and work ethic. I think another lesson that my mom imparted to me is this optimism and faith. Like her demeanor is very much like a glass half full one. And there, like just this belief that God was looking out for us. And I can see where her faith came from, especially like going back to the war where you're in an environment where anything can happen. And so you just have to believe in that like God's got you. And I know that her faith story has ebbed and flowed, but growing up, she very much like imparted faith to us to where it was like, focus on doing as great a job as you can on the things you can control, but then also know that like God's got you, will be okay. And I think that also led to a sort of optimism to where it could be very easy to like focus on the things that aren't going so well and just like fester on the things that are bringing us down. But my mom was very quick to like look at the other perspective, and it's like, but there's all these other good things. And I didn't think it was in like a toxic positivity type of way. I think it was in a like, let's balance the perspective type of way, which I really appreciated. And sometimes I was really like surprised by how almost like instinctive it was for her. Like, how are you so like optimistic? How is it so easy for you to not forget about faith? That's something that I've been really impressed by, especially in the world today. There's a lot of things to be down about, and I think that it can be easy to forget that there are like positive sides to many things too. And for my mom, it was very natural.
That's so nice. I see that in my mom by way of like evolving and growing. Her angle was always, and this kind of ties into being able to put words to feelings too. I don't think immigrants do that.
So we can get to the other side.
Kind of going back to what you said about like things are never too bad. I guess especially when like I think for your mom it probably comes from a place of like she knows exactly like what the worst case scenario looks like. So anything compared to that is like not sunshine and rainbows. Like right, if you've gone through something like really tough, anything else that you'll go through moving forward will pale in comparison.
Maybe.
For my mom, she would say like, don't pity yourself, like don't feel sorry for yourself whenever things were going bad. So I think that just speaking of like very many like layers of armor, that's how like I'm so resilient. And I don't know, maybe that's just like something that was ingrained in me growing up. The other side to that coin, I also like didn't even have the language to describe like what stress felt like or what anxiety was. It wasn't until like after college or maybe my senior year of college then I was maybe describing like how I was feeling physiologically, and then someone then was, or maybe I like looked it up online and I was like, oh, that's what stress is.
I was like, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I'm anxious.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, but this is just something I don't know. I'm so used to being uncomfortable, and I've said this before too. And this is why it's hard for me to be in my like, be comfortable being comfortable. Yeah, because it stems from situations like these that like build up over time where I didn't even have the language to describe like what being stressed was like. It was just something I accepted, or being anxious.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. What do you mean when you say it was something you accepted?
I just accept feeling uncomfortable. Like I just power through things, or if things aren't in alignment. That's why I'm so in my era of, or like hopefully the rest of my life, I'm just like pursuing things that are in alignment, because I've worked against the grain for like so long.
Got it.
In just like a myriad of ways in different like corners of life, anything. I don't know.
Got
I'm
it.
just like so used to like working for things, like only feeling value or feeling valued as a person if I struggled for it. And I think that in and of itself is such
interesting.
like,
Yeah.
it stems from
Yeah.
like being second gen, or like from immigrant background.
Yeah, that idea, like if I struggled for it, if it made me uncomfortable, then I actually deserved it.
Yeah.
But if it came too easy, I didn't
Right, like,
actually earn that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That
if
definitely
it was
resonates.
too easy. Like nothing comes easy.
Right?
Right?
Yeah. That definitely resonates.
Yeah. So this is something I'm actually working on. Yeah, and like just being okay with being in alignment and having things come easily. Yeah.
Before I touch on some of the things that I learned that I'm choosing to part with, one other thing that comes to mind, that one thing my mom would say is go where you're wanted. I thought that was a very strong example of confidence and what it looks like to choose yourself in environments where others might not accept you. Choosing to opt out of things, or relationships, people that may not accept you as you are. But also this idea, or like this early lesson, that not everywhere you go will accept you, and you need to learn to be okay with that. My people-pleasing tendencies did not come from my mom, but the counter lesson that she was always like saying was, yeah, go where you're wanted. And I really appreciated that. And it's taken 30 years for me to actually start living that.
Right. Sometimes you just gotta, it's a canon event. You just gotta live life, make the mistakes, and then learn it.
Right, exactly. And then you're like, oh, so that's what you meant.
The package, like cleanly packaged, like here are the secrets to.
But sometimes you also don't
life.
understand it, right? Because like I'm sure that she learned that lesson through her own experiences too, especially through all like the country moves and stuff, or through all the moves to different countries. And so that those 5 words, go where you're wanted, those 4 words carried so much meaning for her as a result of the experiences she had. But they didn't mean that much to me until I had some experiences too. Yeah. And I was like, all right.
You just have to learn on your own.
Yeah.
Okay, now I remember I have something to say about the hardworking piece. The immigrant mentality does not translate cleanly in an American context, in the sense of just be hardworking. It's merit based. If you just like put your head down, do good work, like you'll be recognized for it. And that is very much like the way that I was brought up. Also, swimming reinforced that like tenfold too, because it's so objective. Like the work that you put in is the output that you're going to see. But now in a more nuanced like corporate context, sometimes like the better the work that you're putting in, the more that it can even backfire on you. So it's less about merit, and it's just readjusting your approach and your expectation to understand that it's almost like a popularity contest instead.
Yeah, that idea that your work will speak for itself is a lesson that was also handed down to me. I think it also came from a place of humility. Like, you don't want to talk about how good your work is. You don't want to advertise yourself too much. You want to do great work quietly and let other people discover how great you are. Yeah, you don't want to talk about yourself too much. You want other people to be talking about you. But you're totally right that in our context, it's quite different. Like, if you're not speaking about yourself, if you're not highlighting the things you've accomplished and where you want to go, no one is thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
if you're not your own biggest advocate, no one is going to do it for you.
Exactly. I think another way of like saying what you said though, like more broadly, is that the armor, if you will, that our mothers built was very relevant to the worlds they grew up in. But we are growing up in different worlds, and there are some lessons that translate really well, but there are some that don't. But yeah, that work ethic example is a great one. One that comes to mind for me is rest. My mom worked so hard and rested so little. And even today, I don't feel like she sleeps enough, and I tell her that. And as a result, my association with sleep and rest was very poor. Growing up, we were never... after 8 a.m., my mom would be like, why are you guys still sleeping? So sleeping in wasn't a thing at all, even on the weekends. But then also just like pausing to relax wasn't really something that we did very much. If I was watching TV, I was doing chores at the same time, or, like.
I'm thinking of a Reels I saw recently.
What?
It was like when you're like immigrant, like mother comes home, you hear they're coming home, and you're on the couch watching TV, and you got to get up and like grab a vacuum.
I know.
Look busy.
Exactly. Look busy. But yeah, the association with the rest, I think hustle and grind culture was a bit of a trend, like 2010s to 2020, but that was like the way I grew up. Like part of the hustle was like no sleep whatsoever. And I don't understand. Yeah, that's not something that I'm taking forward. I think that I love the conversation around recovery today. And I think I've realized through a lot of more error than trials that without sleep, I am not at my best. And I don't show up in the ways that I want to. So that is one of the lessons that I'm leaving behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the notion of being handed down a playbook that only worked for one game but doesn't translate completely over to a totally different game that we're playing is a huge overlooked piece that doesn't get as much like attention as it deserves. Like being in this like limbo stage of so much of my view of the world and like how I move through the world is influenced by this, but I'm living and moving through a totally different world.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's such an interesting like in between spot to be. And it takes a lot of like zooming in and zooming out to figure out, okay, like, and also go through trial and error because there's so few people who've done this before, to see like what works, what translates, what doesn't, what needs to be built from scratch.
Yeah. Are there any areas or lessons in your life where you've realized were helpful for your mom's world, but may not be helpful for yours moving forward?
Just like grind and grit. Everything that you said resonates with me. Just always needing to produce or like be productive. Yeah, rest was always equated with being lazy. That's why that's why like I'm kind of like making up for lost time now, like watching TV and stuff. But yeah, rest was never rest. It was always lazy. That was like that was the verbiage that we used. It is kind of crazy that swimming, it's a white sport. But so much of that mentality aligns with swimming. Like you were saying, even in the case of rest, like in swimming, we never had an off season, which is every other sport has an off season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's surprising.
There's this like, this fallacy basically, but there's still tons of teams and coaches who believe that you should be swimming year round. But the fallacy is that like you'll lose your feel for the water if you take like a day off or like 2 days off. So that's why you're just going like from one year into the next, like with no time to rest in between.
Oh my.
Yeah, we had Sundays off. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Actually from age 12 to 15, that was like the craziest yardage I was doing. That was like on average 8 kilometers to like 10 kilometers of practice. And on the weekends because we didn't have school, so we had more time to spend at the pool. It was like 2 back-to-back practices on Saturdays, like 2.5 followed by like a 30-minute bagel break with another like hour and a half like swim session, and then Sunday was like a full 2.5-hour practice or 3-hour practice. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why this is an unlearning for me, because not only was I brought up this way culturally, but also the job that I was doing reinforced it as well.
Well, great on you for choosing to undo that in this new chapter of your life.
Yeah. That's why when I see people like training for a marathon, I know you've been training for a marathon. I'm just like, good for you.
You do that. Granted, I'm not running 6 days a week. Some people will do that, but I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. Something else that you wanted to let go of?
Oh, yeah. We talked about feelings earlier and an inability to communicate feelings. We didn't really talk about feelings much at all in my house. Well, they pretty much didn't exist. So, I mean, like I would cry and I'd be sad. I know what those felt like, but my vocabulary around feelings was very limited, and that's something I'm leaving behind. Oh my gosh, what's that movie? That Pixar movie?
Inside Out?
Yeah, okay. I remember watching Inside Out a couple years back, Inside Out 1 and then 2, and I was like, wow, I absolutely loved that they have that as a kids movie, because it's teaching children vocabulary around feelings very early, and I think that's super important.
Labeling your feelings.
Labeling your
this, like that's like the most important thing in therapy, or like the foundational thing.
Right, exactly. But it's also like so important for self-awareness and your ability to exist in the world. Like, definitely felt handicapped in that area growing up, and have come a long way since then. But when I think about how I want to raise my future children, God willing, I definitely want to have a vocabulary around feelings and invite it into the discussion.
It is interesting how underdeveloped our vocabulary is around feelings.
Yeah.
But again, I think it stems from our parents. Like, you couldn't think too much about how you're feeling or else you wouldn't survive. So I get it. It's a survival mechanism that got passed down to us.
Exactly.
And then it helped us achieve a lot to get to where we are today.
Facts,
but now it's, okay, how do we do this in a more sustainable manner?
Yeah, exactly. How do we, invite that into the conversation? It reminds me of some of the rule followers, high achievers that might be listening here, because we're talking about this from the perspective of our mothers and through the lens of their stories as immigrants. But immigrant or not, we're all children who have been handed down a set of lessons that we may be habitually taking forward with us. And it's on us to question which lessons we intentionally want to carry forward versus those that we want to leave behind because they're no longer serving the worlds that we're abiding in today. And so I would be very curious. We'd both be very curious in the comments. Drop some lessons that you're taking forward with you and some that you're leaving behind. Would love to hear them.
A classmate of ours shared a quote or like a tweet that she really likes to live by. And it was about like, how fortunate are we to be able to like think about how we want to live our lives.
Self-actualize.
Self-actualize, like think about the meaning of life, because our parents before us were only focused on like how to survive or something. But it was just like, what a luxury it is to be able to think about how to live a life of meaning that we've been afforded only because our parents had to think about how to survive. Something like that. So like you said, everyone is just living life for the first time, figuring things out, doing the best that they can within their circumstances. And like all we can really hope is just to like make things better for each generation, like moving forward.
I think that's a lovely note to end on.
I'm gonna find that quote and I'm going to share it on our Instagram or something, because I think it's a beautiful quote.
I love that. Well, Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. Shout out again to our moms.
Yes.
We love you. And cute. And we'll see you this time next week for our last episode of the season.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks for coming along on the ride.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of State of Mind. If you listen to the full episode, share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear them.
If you liked what you heard, please like, comment, leave a review, and follow us wherever you listen.
And note, this podcast reflects our personal opinions and experiences and is for informational and conversational purposes only.
It is not intended as medical, mental health, legal, or financial advice.